Okay, so that should be in focus. Hi, YouTube. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Sierra. I rarely make YouTube videos just because I don't have the time, and I'm just also really lazy. But I figured I'd hop on this bandwagon and talk about current events. So the current event I'm going to talk about today is basically what's going on with the football and a little bit of baseball, a little bit of basketball, a lot of sports, basically a lot of sports. And basically their right to protest during the singing of the national anthem and the displaying of the American flag. And while I'm doing this, I want to take out my twist because I like to fidget a lot, and so that way it comes stupid as I want. A hair video, see how bald my twist out's gonna look, and also talk about current events. So here we go. I got into this because I was searching my Facebook page, and just as a note for me, I definitely got into a couple arguments on Facebook, and so I started to basically do the Facebook and recreate one and not get into drama, just because it was stressing me out a lot. So to kind of combat that, I just love to read all the comments on different political posts, just because it's a good way to voice my opinion verbally at the Facebook post, but I won't be writing it and then having to argue with people for the next 3 days. So the post I saw comes from Fox News, from one of the people I follow or I'm friends with, and they're quoting Mike Huckabee and says, "I wish that some of the players who get on one knee would get on both knees and thank God that they live in the United States." Again, that's Mike Huckabee that they posted from Fox News. And it just gets me thinking. So I know America was kind of developed to be this utopia, but there are other places in the world that are pretty great. You know, parts of Europe are doing really well. Parts of like Central America are doing really well. Parts of Africa are doing really well. You know, we have 6 inhabitable continents that are, for the most part, doing okay. And so I think, you know, you don't have to be in America to live this really privileged life. You know, you can be in other places. And I think that people need to realize that there are people in America that are living like they are in the cave, like the Stone Age, because they don't have some of the privileges other people have. And yeah, I think that, you know, regarding like a lot of today's comments about on the games and stuff, that people have a right to protest. That literally is what makes us, or part of what makes us American, is that when the Europeans fled Europe, they wanted a country where they could be free to protest and have a right to speak and have religious freedom. And that's kind of why America was made with no, like, well, it was why America was made for the Europeans. Native Americans already lived here, and I feel like they probably had a pretty great America as well before Europeans came. No offense. But looking at all these posts about Kaepernick and then the subsequent teams that are choosing to support him or not support him, I think that is their right. You know, just because they make $1 million doesn't mean that they can't face struggles, doesn't mean that they don't have a right to say anything about this country, because just because they're not living the everyday normal life doesn't mean they're not educated on the everyday normal life, because they probably came from a pretty standard background. So just kind of an example. Not even an example, but also, I feel like what makes us American is, one, the love for the country, but also it is, again, the right to protest and the fact that we want to make America better. Like, that's literally what our president ran on, was make America great again, which I think their views of great and my view of great are 2 different greats. But it just baffles my mind that people think that you can't talk bad about a country to make it better. So example, say if you were dating or married to someone and they did something absolutely horrendous, like they decided they wanted to make fun of someone's disability. Are you gonna sit there and be like, oh, well, that's just Jim, I married him, oh well, haha, you know, be who you want to be? Or would you look at Jim and be like, that was absolutely rude of you, that was not okay, I don't see why you would do that, that's unacceptable, you need to apologize and change your behavior, because that's just flat out wrong. Like, as like a moral human, that's just wrong. You know, and that disapproval of his action isn't because you like hate him and want him to die. It's because you want him to grow as a person and make them better. And that's exactly what I feel like the protests in America are like. You know, we don't, some people want to see America burn, but we don't say, oh, we're not protesting because we hate America. We're protesting because we know its potential. We know it can be great. And we know we should make it the land for people to achieve their dreams, which it's very hard coming from some communities to achieve your dreams. And kind of an example of that is like I did a lot of theater as a kid and through high school. And so I competed in competitions. And there were some parts that, you know, I had messed up on. And I would hope my friends would have enough decency to say, hey, you know, that part was off. Your movement looked weird. I couldn't understand you for this section of the song. And so that way I had a time to fix it before I went and made a fool of myself in front of like judges. You know, and that again isn't because we hate each other. It's because it's the opposite. It's exactly out of love. Another example is just me in jobs right now. So I just graduated in May. It's September now. Obviously September now. And I'm working right now seasonal part-time jobs. I moved across the country taking a risk. And I'm not saying it hasn't paid off because I love where I'm at, but I'm still working seasonal part-time for not a lot of money. And one of my family members has made it very clear their frustration with me in that I'm not getting full-time work, and that I'm limiting myself into a certain box that I prefer. And do their comments annoy me? Yes. Do I wish I could find better work? Absolutely. Am I trying to find better work? Absolutely. But I understand that their comments and their frustration and almost like kind of their anger is because they don't want to see me struggle. They care enough about me. They know that their kid was a 3.9 summa cum laude college graduate. They deserve to have a full-time with benefits. And I absolutely believe I deserve a full-time with benefits. Unfortunately, America's job market is not amazing. And so again, those comments that they make are out of love because they know that they had a struggle finding jobs because they only have a high school degree. And when they lost their job that they had for like 20 years, it was infinitely harder for them to get another job because they didn't have the education for it. Well, the jobs didn't have education for it, but they're actually pretty smart. So, yeah, I do think that the right to protest is totally okay. And I think people who are really mad at that should really take a step and look back and think, okay, you know, enough people have talked about this for a number of years that maybe I should think about, maybe it is a problem. So looking at police brutality and the whole Black Lives Matter movement, I believe there is definitely a lot of truth to that. You know, we shouldn't have cases where police barge into a home and basically fire at random, killing a 7-year-old living on her couch. And it wasn't even the right house. It was the wrong house, so they were totally off. Or we have cases where the cops were called to help a father make his disabled child take his meds, basically. And when the cops arrived, the upstairs neighbor came down the stairs to tell them what's going on, and they shot her in the neck when she opened the door. Like, that should not happen. Police are there to literally serve its citizens. And I'm saying police officers are people too, yes, but they also signed up for a job where they have to protect people and that their lives are going to be on the line. And I thank them for that. You know, I have friends that are cops, and, you know, I'm not saying that all cops are bad people, but I'm saying that it's becoming a problem that it's happening over and over. And we're the only country that has this problem. You know, other countries, I think it was like Sweden, almost had to pull a firearm to get a suspect or to get a person to cooperate, and they were panicking that they almost had to use a firearm just as like a encouragement to kind of follow what was going on, instead of they weren't even going to fire it. They just needed to just pull it out, and they almost had a heart attack because they almost did that. And in America, the first line of defense for police, I feel like, is their weapons, their gun, which I think is stupid. Like, you're there to protect other people. And I'm not saying that we should just make police officers, like, not carry weapons, but I do think that they should be trained on how to diffuse situations and how to recognize mental illness from drugs, from just like someone who just wants to cause trouble. And a 7-year-old sitting on a couch doesn't want to cause trouble. So like, there's no reason that she shouldn't be in this world right now. There's no reason that, I believe her name is Deb Jones, the elderly woman who was shot trying to help with the mentally challenged son. There's no reason that she shouldn't be in this world right now. Absolutely no reason. I think it's to say, oh, well, not all cops are bad. It just dismisses the problem of that we have this problem, and that it just dismisses their lives like they weren't important, but the police are, which I think is ludicrous. So yeah, current events about protesting in America, and I do think that you have a right, but that your protest also should not be hate speech, which we actually have talked about that in things like the Constitution. So it should not be hate speech. It's like flat out, Charleston, that was hate speech. If you want to eradicate like races and ethnicities of people, that's a hate speech, and that should not be allowed in the country. But if you think, hey, I'm being poorly mistreated and I would love a fair shot in America, and you would like protest that, I think fair game. So yeah, that's current events. This is my twist out that hopefully will loosen itself up by tomorrow morning. So if you have a comment, go for it, leave it down there. I'll try and comment back. If it's hate speech, go for it. Not hate speech, also go for it, whatever. It's a free country, right? All right, I will see y'all later.